Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
It's time for another episode of All Politics Are Local with your host, Barry D.
It's that time of the week you've all been waiting for. It's me, Barry D.
Oh, no, not again!
Yes, I'm afraid so. Bringing you news and opinion from the 17th floor of the WCHE studios at 105 West Gay Street in Westchester, just around the corner from 123 North Church Street, the home of Kuma. That's 3 O's in Kuma. Kuma Fusion, and the Google describes them as having Asian fusion dishes from hibachi to bibimbap, whatever that is, to sushi in a modern setting with a full bar. You know, Eric, this reminds me of Bulldog on the old TV show Frasier, where he advertised for the Chinese restaurant. Have you got that clip?
Ooh, so you will come, chop chop, to Hunan Palace, where Peking duck is always extra crispy.
We're going to get sued this time for sure.
That's every day here at WCHE. I do understand that sushi is excellent, although I'm not a fan of sushi. For that matter, fish in general, this is Mrs. Paul's Fish Sticks. But if you like sushi, you will love this place. Check them out. They're open every day of the week. Today they open at 11:30. Give them a try. That's another shameless plug for one of the neighboring businesses. At the board today is the unstoppable Eric Clamera, not only on the morning show host, but also the producer of this show. Now, when I say unstoppable, it's because he needs new brakes on his car, so give him a wide berth if you see him on you, right behind you on Market Street on his way home this afternoon. Please do not call in. Not sure if it's fans or the Fury that's calling in, but I appreciate it either way. But we run pretty tight on our schedule, and the phone calls just won't work for the show. When I go to a 3-hour show, I promise I'll take phone calls. But in the meantime, the phone strobe here in the studio, that flashes indicating another caller will be left unattended. But send an email and let me know what's on your mind. And to the same couple of people that say that you don't listen, but you do just because you want to be angry, email me. I'll put you on the show with me, and you can tell me what in the world I'm wrong on right here on the air. Today, That's one of them right now. Hey, today I have my monologue. Jack is in with 5 Minutes with Jack. Carla gets the week off, but I will have a report from her next week. And my guests today are the ones that are in studio, friends of Shilo AME Church and Cemetery and Save Forsyth Farm. We have a packed Studio B, so I personally shifted over to Studio A to give the guests a bit more room.
What does that even mean?
It's a radio thing. It's technical. Let's just move on. So let's go to that time in the show when we do our little time travel back to the early 2000s, back to when advertising poked fun of people, places, and things. And there was no protest afterwards, no boycotts, and certainly no safe room visits. Why? Because it's a joke. That's why. This is a time when marketing was about marketing a product, not selling some virtuous statement about your company wrapped up in a product. The company that was the leader in that was Bud Light, and my, how far they've fallen with no recovery in sight coming up on 3 years ago. So let's stick to the fun ad, shall we? When poking fun of places, people, and things was taken far more lightheartedly. Let's go back to a simpler, more joyful time. And you know, I thought with the Winter Olympics concluding on Sunday, this commercial is for you.
Bud Light presents Real Men of Genius.
Real men of genius.
Today we salute you, Mr. Professional Figure Skater.
Mr. Professional Figure Skater.
While lesser men strapped on skates and played hockey, you don skin-tight leotards and a teeny cowboy hat and learn figure eights.
Going round and round.
You practiced and practiced, hoping, knowing, someday you'd be good enough to wear a giant puppet costume and skate in an ice show.
Welcome to the big time.
Skate perfectly and you're a crowd pleaser. Mess up and fall on your butt, and you're still a crowd pleaser.
Oh!
So crack open an ice-cold Bud Light, oh Titan of the tights. You may never wear a medal, but sequins are shiny too.
Mr. Professional Figure Skater.
Bud Light Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
You know, I'm going to jump to a commercial real quick because there's no monologue today. Jack has a lot on his mind, and then I'm going right to our studio guests. So let's hit a commercial, and I'll be right back.
Barry D is back with All Politics Are Local.
I am back, and so is Jack. Good morning, Jack. How are you, sir?
I'm doing quite well, Barry, and you, sir?
I'm doing well. Did you recognize my intro music for the show today?
I might have. It sounded like a lot like Blind in Texas.
Blind in Texas, and what's the name of that band, Jack?
That would be Wasp.
That's Wasp. 1985, Blind in Texas. I usually save that for the outro when I talk about that, when I close out my show. And do you have anything to tell the listening audience about the band Wasp and the relationship with 5 Minutes with Jack?
Well, I will say this, Barry. I was quite familiar with the band when I lived in California as a young man, and I think we'll keep that for another segment in the future.
You sure you don't want to tell the audience now?
I think I'm good.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, enough about Jack and his past life. Jack, what do you got for us today?
Well, you know, Barry, I was thinking we were going to discuss something last week, and it had to do with a teacher in the Phoenixville School District, but that was delayed.
It was delayed. I was told to hold off for a week on it, and you know I don't like doing that with hot news, but I certainly complied, so no hot news came out. I thought we'd like to talk about it considering no news sources picked this up, and once again, I have to be the guy to bring this to the people. So what do you say you start and tell everybody what it's about so we can have our discussion?
Well, it has to do with a teacher that teaches Civil War was her subject matter, and she thought it brought upon herself that she thought it would be a good idea to discuss some of the salacious accusations that were obviously proven to be untrue about Trump in the Epstein files that were released. So here she has a captive audience, and I don't know how it relates to the Civil War. There is a recording of her reading verbatim some of the salacious allegations, and again, proven to be false, against President Trump to these young kids that have no choice but to be there. It's a public school. They're required to attend. This is one of those classes. It's not an elective. You certainly have to attend.
Well, you know what? We have that clip, so I'll tell you what, if you don't mind, it's not a long clip. I think the listening audience should hear exactly what this teacher in Phoenixville School District was, excuse the pun, exposing her students to.
Agreed.
You can find it for yourselves if you'd like, but we have a president that's a child molester. And the testimony multiple times showed that he misbehaved with 13 and 14-year-old girls. And it's in there. It's public knowledge. It's there for you guys to look at if you want. It's pretty disgusting. I can. Would anyone like me to read a section for you? It's a current event. Would you like to know?
Yeah.
Okay, ready? This person, and there's a blank for the whistleblower, reported an unidentified female friend who was forced to perform oral sex on President Trump approximately 35 years ago in New Jersey. The friend told Alexis that she was approximately 13 to 14 years old when this occurred, and the friend allegedly bit President Trump while performing this act. The friend was allegedly hit in the face after she laughed about biting him, President Trump. The friend said she was also abused by Epstein at the same time. And that's just the first sentence. That's the first paragraph.
All right. So what do you think of that, Jack? I mean, what's your opinion on that a teacher would actually do that? This was not a sex ed class. This was not even a civics class. This, from what I understand, and if I'm wrong, somebody please let us know, because none of either the superintendent or assistant superintendent, or any of the school board members would respond when I asked them if this recording was true and what their opinion was on it, so they could set the facts straight. And by the way, Superintendent Mrs. Missy McTiernan contacted not once but twice, no response. Assistant Superintendent Dr. Jessica Kilmetz, she's a doctor, by the way, contacted not once but twice, no response. School board president till 2029, Scott Overland, not contacted once but twice, no response. School board vice president Susan Turner, this is all Phoenixville School District, ladies and gentlemen. Susan Turner, contacted not once but twice. Board member Dr. Stephanie Allen Savage, contacted not once but twice, no response. Board member Dr. Sean Halloran. These are people that are really smart, apparently. They're doctors, but they don't know how to use email. Contacted once? No. Twice. No response. Board member Graham Perry, contacted not once but twice. Board member Frank Venenzia, contacted not once but twice. Phoenixville School District. These guys, I don't know what the problem is. All they had to do is say whether it was true or not and what their response was to it. Board member Brittany Remington, contacted twice, no response. Board member Victoria Walker, her picture, she's pretty hot. Not contacted once, she was contacted twice. Should have contacted her 3 times. No response. How about that? That would have been stalking then. Dan Weiser, final board member till 2027. Looks like a good guy. He's got a beard even. Contacted twice. No response. These guys are on radio silence. They're on the cone of silence, Jack. Nothing. I have nothing from them. And clearly, they either don't know anything about this, which they could have responded to and said that, or more likely, it's true, because if they didn't respond, it's true, and would not comment. Go.
Well, I have a couple of things on this, Barry. First of all, when you're contacting school board members, these are elected officials. The whole idea of having school board members is to be the conduit between the public, typically the parents, and the school. That's kind of how it works. It's supposed to be transparent. There's supposed to be dialogue. Because, of course, we're forever told that teachers are the most profound among us in our society. They're
raising and teaching the future generations, Jack. Think about that.
Exactly. Exactly. So
this is indoctrination. They're indoctrinating, it sounds like to me.
Without question, again, it's a captive audience. It's not like these kids can stand up and walk out of the classroom without some type of repercussions. This teacher was certainly grinding an axe for her disdain for the president and for this administration, which should be left at the curb when she parks her car. There should be, certainly when you're teaching, no one should know what your political affiliation is, because you're teaching the material. You're not teaching somebody else's emotions or hang-ups or bias. Clearly, this teacher does not know that and does not care, and is going to expound her opinions, again, to a very captive audience, very young kids. And I think you have a better idea of what grade it was, Barry. What grade exactly was it? Were they...
I'm not going to mention that because I don't want to give away anything about that. Look, the teacher is so far anonymous. It's not being spoken about, and I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is what she did. And I also don't, you never know what people are going to sue you over if I mention it or blah, blah, blah. Because
certainly.
I'm not going to get involved in that, although I can tell you I have far more information on this. But it's very frustrating to me. This is the indoctrination of students. And I want the people of Chester County and beyond to know this is what goes on. And by the way, I have been told, I cannot confirm that it's absolutely true because I am not a student in her class. I've been told she asks students what their political affiliation is or how they feel about certain things. That, again, as you say, should be checked at the curb. What she's there to do is teach. And, you start doing that as a child. If you don't play the game, I've seen it in college, which, by the way, if somebody wants to give that to professor, you can walk away from that class if you want. Yeah, you're going to lose money on it, but you can be disgusted and walk away. This is kindergarten through 12th grade, public school. What are you going to do? Check out of that and go to a cyber school or a charter school or something? Come on now. It's a public school. You got to be there. You got to do your thing, and you got to get along. But if you disagree with the teacher, who's to say you're not going to get a worse grade?
That's true. Or be recorded as incorrigible, and certainly that goes into your permanent record. And I think you swerved into something, Barry. The idea is that it's a public school. So public school is run by the taxes that they receive, right? We don't get a choice in whether we pay those taxes.
Right. No, you don't pay your taxes, your house goes away.
That's exactly right. And it doesn't matter if you own your domicile or you rent. You are still paying for school taxes.
You just may not see it. It's in your rent.
That's exactly 100% correct. So everyone has a vested interest in this of what our children are being taught and who's teaching them. Having radicals that don't have the ability to control their emotions or their thoughts and take their job seriously as a professional and just teach the material without biases or comments or interrogating the children to determine what their political affiliation is. So what if you don't answer right? Is that a demerit against you? Are you looked at through a different lens than the other kids that may lean left or right? And certainly in high school, you haven't really formed your political affiliations. It's typically passed on by parents for the most case, but as younger people are, it's a little bit more to the liberal because it's a little more Pollyanna until you receive more information.
Until they own something. Right?
Yes, until they own something, until they have children. Yeah, those big things. Until until they learn what FICA is.
Yeah, right. Then all of a sudden they're like, who's FICA and why didn't they take 25% of my paycheck? Well, listen, we're not going to have a lot of time on this, so let's jump to Great Valley High School. Great Valley also has an indoctrination thing going on. Have you seen this?
No, I haven't.
Great Valley. Carla's not on with us this week, but Carla did post this. And there was a poster found in the Great Valley School District, Great Valley High School. It's called Club America. And it says, intro meeting on Wednesday, February 25th, and meetings every Wednesday morning after in the weight room with Mr. Casper. Our mission is to identify, educate, train, and organize students to promote the principles of freedom, free markets, and limited government. Future events, weightlifting competition, guest speakers, fundraising events, restoration of the Veterans Memorial, and more. How about that?
Those sounds like very positive things, civically minded. And I think you said the operative word in there, Barry, is that this is after school?
Well, that's what it sounds like to me.
So that means they choose to attend, so they're choosing to go there and hear the message and participate. They're not trapped inside the room.
This does say, actually, and meetings every Wednesday morning after in the, it says after school. Somebody actually wrote at the top of it because it's not clear on there in handwriting. It does say after school. You're absolutely right. So it is after school. So it doesn't look like this is forced. If you're in a class on Civil War and this is forced on you, if you don't like what this is a club, you can leave. But I guess it could be considered indoctrination.
I don't know if indoctrination, I don't know if this is, I guess you could construe it as indoctrination, but the subject matter is a lot different than what we heard in Phoenixville. This is about fundraising events, restoration of Veterans Memorial, and more. Those sounds like very good civic-minded things that young people should be at least introduced to so that they can participate and give back to their community in a positive way.
I don't know. Do you really think promoting principles of freedom, free markets, and limited government are really wise ideas?
What could possibly happen? Preparing them for the future. I don't know.
I think it might be. There's some very small print that says that this is presented by TP USA.
Oh.
So I'm assuming that's Turning Point USA. So maybe that might be an issue for some people. But I don't.
Oh, well, they're certainly been deemed a radical group, right? Promoting God and country.
Yeah, well, you know what's funny? With the Turning Point thing, I've never been involved in it, so I don't know everything. You know what? That inspires me. Next, I'm going to try and get somebody that's doing a Turning Point chapter here in Chester County. And you know what? I will try and get them on next week to talk to them about Turning Point so that I can find out more about them, because I really don't know a whole lot about them. So that's what I'll do. How about that? That's kind of good. I'll do that. And I'm going to find out about their indoctrination process. So we have two indoctrinations going on, both Phoenixville and Great Valley. Now, as you said, one looks to be after hours and people can leave it. The other one, they're kind of stuck in place. Well, because if they walk out of the class, they're certainly getting detention or suspension. Oh,
well,
okay.
Or they could be expelled. That could be expulsion.
Or they could just give them Adderall or whatever they give kids now when they want to calm them down so that they just become zombies. I don't.
Yes, and I think it would be great after you have someone from Turning Point is maybe do an impromptu poll for the listening audience for parents. Which one would they rather have their child attend?
That's a great idea. You know what? I'm inspired. Let's do that. That's fantastic. I appreciate you coming on to talk about Phoenixville and your opinion on that, and, of course, the Great Valley situation here, too. Comparing and contrasting between the two, their likenesses and their differences. Jack, I'll talk to you next week.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
All right, let's pay some bills and come back with Friends of Shilo AME Church and Cemetery, and also the Save Forsyth Farm.
Barry D is back with All Politics Are Local.
I am back, and it's time to talk with the Friends of Shilo AME Church and Cemetery and the Save Forsyth Farm. Who are these people, you might ask? Well, thanks for asking. I'll tell you. Now, the order was given to me in an email. I'm not picking favorites. First one, David Walter. He's with the Sons of Union Veterans. He's a local historian and a member of the Friends of Shilo AME Church and Cemetery. The lovely Bertha Jackman, not to be confused with Hugh Jackman, historian, Mount Zion AME Church and Cemetery in Devon, also a member of the Friends of Shilo AME Church and Cemetery. And finally, Stephen Lyons, who I spoke with first. He's the chair of the Friends of Shilo AME Church and Cemetery and the Save Forsyth Farm. He's an actor, musician, and producer. You know, we only get the best-looking people in our radio station, and so I'm very, very honored to have the three of you here. First, I have to say, I have followed this through postings in Chester County Ramblings, and you guys are phenomenal doing what you do. It takes special people to step up to do this type of thing, and without you, history erodes away and is gone. And as we were talking just before in the studio during commercial break about how things disappear over time, they get covered with dirt. I was amazed by that when I was cleaning up a sidewalk one day on a property I have. Lawn clippings fell on it, over the years, and we had to dig out about 1.5 inches of dirt over. These are lawn clippings that had just broken down over, an 8-year period. There was 1.5 inches of dirt there. You couldn't see the sidewalk anymore. So imagine what that's like after a couple hundred years. This stuff just disappears through things happening and people putting things places. Our history just disappears and gets buried under, feet and feet and feet of earth, just gets absorbed into the ground. So to do this work and to actually, in some cases, archaeology, I don't know what it is with your specific organization, but to preserve the history of this historic black church and the Underground Railroad coming through Chester County, which was critical, I think it's phenomenal. So thank you so much to all of you for being here. You guys can pick who's going to talk at any given time. I don't care if you do it by hand signals or winking or whatever, But give me some background on the Shilo AME Church and Cemetery. Also, who was Reverend Richard Allen and Absalom Jones?
Thank you for having us here.
Go ahead. You're good. Yep.
Okay.
Right up next to the mic there, Bertha. You got it.
Is this better?
Much better.
Okay, thank you. Richard Allen is the founder of the AME Church denomination.
Mm-hmm.
He and Absalom Jones were good friends, and they were preachers in Mother Bethel. No, they were preachers in St. George's Methodist Church in Philadelphia.
Okay.
In the 1780s and 90s. 1780s and 90s. And one day, they came into the church, and they were told to sit in a new part of the church, up in the gallery. So they went up, and while there was a time in the service where they were praying, one of the ushers came along and grabbed Absalom Jones and told him to get up, that he needed to leave.
What?
Yes. This is all based on segregation way back then. And I'm just giving you just a real little tip of the iceberg.
No, and I'm assuming, we haven't spoken about color, but I'm assuming these were black
yes.
Black members, reverend, ministers. Okay, got
yes.
it. Okay. Oh, good picture.
Mm-hmm.
Stately individual.
And so Absalom Jones basically said, when we're finished praying, I'll get up and bother you no more.
Uh-huh.
But the usher was insistent, and when the prayer was over, the two gentlemen looked at each other, and they got up and walked out.
Right.
Never to return to St. George's Methodist Church again.
Why would you?
Well, in the meantime, the two of them and other people had formed a group, I guess what you call it, what's the word?
Yeah, a small group of, they were bound together to form their own church from that experience.
Right, abolitionist type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the beginning of Mother Bethel AME Church in Philadelphia. Mother Bethel AME Church right now is celebrating the 200th and I believe 66th birthday of Bishop Richard Allen. And they did so the whole last week, what they call Founders Day. And every day they had a celebration. And so these were the two gentlemen that basically started the AME Church denomination, which was not formed based on theology. It was formed based on segregation.
That's amazing. Now, can you tell me what... I've seen AME many, many times, but I don't know what it stands for.
Okay. It stands for... AME stands for African Methodist Episcopal Church.
Okay.
And by the way, I need to mention that Absalom Jones went off into another denomination. And he became the first pastor of that church, the Episcopal Church.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they remained friends for life.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So now, going on to the role of historic preservation, how is that shaping local and national history?
Yeah, there's... Hi, Barry. Thank you for having us on. This is Stephen Lyons, chair for Shilo. Shilo. So there are a lot of questions that are emerging locally and nationally with respect to historic preservation and private property owner rights. Private property owner rights are very strong in our nation, and we respect that. Men and women have died over that very fact.
Mm-hmm.
But it also calls into question, especially as the nation ages, the values that they place on historic assets, which flow from the 1966 National Historic Preservation Act, which helped to establish state historic commissions, and also flows down to the local municipality level historic commissions.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes there will be butting of heads over these issues and development issues, but it becomes incumbent upon local communities, especially when there are historic sites and spaces that define not only local, but national history.
Sure.
So it requires a collaborative effort.
That's always a something you wrestle with, and you hope that the landowners will work voluntarily, right, to try and help preserve this. But sometimes they just won't do it. And lots of times you're not talking about a large parcel of land, and some of these things could be done if somebody wants to develop the land, and you're talking about an acre or 2 or 3 on, say, a 8, 10, 12, 14 acre parcel. I'm sure the townships could work with them for variances to allow density or something like that to help them in the financial end. Because, look, it's expensive to own the land. It's expensive to develop the land and get your money out of it. And, look, even farmers, the reason farmers have farms is to make money off the land. So it's all the same thing. But you would think that there would be some kind of cooperative effort where they go, listen, you do this, we'll help you out. You can double your density on the property or something like that to make it work. But, sometimes you just can't, these people just butt heads and you can't get everybody on the same board. And it must be really frustrating for you guys on some of this stuff.
Yeah, especially when you're talking about a historic black church and cemetery of national significance and pride, not only to our community but the nation. And it's exciting to see the threads of enormous history emerging from Reverend Richard Allen's vision and Absalom Jones' vision, and how it directly impacted our community, because right over the hill from Shilo was the historic Westtown School, which is literally a who's who of abolitionists. So when we start to look at these layers of history, it's really important to involve everyone at the community to start looking at these issues. I wanted to ask, actually, Bertha, your thoughts in regards to how we should consider approaching neglected cemeteries and how we tie these together.
When you say how we approach neglected cemeteries, are you speaking about the whole community? Are you talking about are you talking about the local government, or who do you mean when you say we?
Community, as in, just the local community, and how we encourage the historic commissions and property owners to respect these spaces. Because in the case of Shilo, we are prevented the opportunity to access the site, to honor the 14 United States colored troops that are buried there. And you've done some extraordinary work at your church as well, and a lot of that flows into the work here.
Yeah, what's the sales pitch? How do you talk to people and try and get them persuaded? What do you do, Bertha? I mean, you don't walk in and go, hey, listen, this is what we want. You go, hey, this is important. What's your technique? Well, there is no one technique. And first of all, different states have different laws as far as cemeteries. I'm Italian. The technique we use is probably not the one you want to use. So.
Well, it all depends on which one you're speaking about. But I think I get the gist of your comment. Well, just one of the things that can be done is that you just keep trying to educate everybody about the importance of African American cemeteries. Because it's not just African American cemeteries, and each cemetery is definitely different. You have some African American cemeteries that have white people in them. So what do? I mean, you just ignore that piece of information. It's too broad to go into just instantly.
Right.
As far as I'm trying to be brief.
Right. Sure. We got a lot of stuff to go over. Sure, certainly.
But it's just basically a matter of educating the neighbors and the community about what you have here. You have a treasure, because every cemetery has stories and history. They're monuments, and so you just keep going and keep going until you get some kind of breakthrough. You try to use the law behind you, but then you just somewhere you just have to start. There are a lot of African American cemeteries, we're talking nationwide, that have gone what's the word? Neglected.
Sure.
So-called neglected. I don't particularly like that word, but because things happen. You know, people move away. The people who are stewards and take care of those cemeteries, you know, they die out. Young people are not interested any longer, or they move away for better opportunities. You know, things happen.
Mm-hmm.
But those cemeteries are history.
And they're people.
And they are people, and their stories.
Mm-hmm.
Those people in the cemeteries, their stories need to be told.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you keep it alive. So there's all kinds of things you can do, all kinds of research. And like I said, different cemeteries have different aspects to them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one way to go ahead and preserve. And if it's, and you really have to battle depending on where you live.
Oh, sure.
It seems like some people may have to fight a little harder than others, depending on the laws, the local laws, the state laws, and kind of things. And by the way, there was a law that was passed in the U.S. government. For some reason, I'm drawing a blank of it now, the name of it. But there's no funding. The government awarded, what was it, $300 million,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for nationwide care of cemeteries.
Wow.
That's a teardrop.
Right.
And, you know, for what needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to bring that up, that there is actually a national law that was passed, the Burial Act.
Wow. We're going to jump to a commercial, but I do want to make a quick comment. I can't understand why the neighbors of the property or the township, the municipality as a whole, whether it's a borough, a township, a city, why they wouldn't get on board with this immediately, because a cemetery, no matter what, is open space. And it's not like there's going to be traffic in it and all sorts of things. You would think they would want that. One, it honors the past, and it honors the present by having a peaceful area, which is what we all want, is open space now. So let's jump to a commercial, and we'll be back to talk more about the Shilo AME Church and Cemetery.
Barry D is back with All Politics Are Local.
There you go. Hold on. You know what? We've been having problems with this mic over here in Studio A. I'm going to have to talk to somebody here. Make some leverage. We are back, and we are talking with the members of the Shilo AME Church and Cemetery group, that they are the friends of it, and they are working to try and preserve this. A difficult job. We haven't talked about some of the most important parts. Well, they are all important, but I don't know where this is located. I have an idea. What do you guys want to talk to me about the location of it?
Yes. This is David Walter. I'm with Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War, but I'm also a founding member of the Westtown Township Historical Commission.
Okay.
And let me give you a little background. The church, the Shilo AME Church, grew out of a white Methodist church, and it was founded in 1817. So it's one of the original AME churches approved by Reverend Allen. And we have deeds and everything that name the trustees of this property, which they purchased from the Methodist Church.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, the congregation waxed and waned. And by the 1920s, the congregation had dwindled to the point where the church was essentially abandoned. By that point, however, there had been 140 burials in the cemetery next to the church. After the cemetery the church was abandoned, it was vandalized, and by 1960s, it was totally demolished. The adjoining landowner just took over the land, removed all the headstones.
Oh, no.
And in 1977, his estate sold this half-acre parcel for $1,000 to the present owner, who's an absentee landlord. He lives in York County. But so for many, many years after that, the property just sat there fallow. Trash trees and vines and things like that grew up. But my group, the Sons of Union Veterans, one of our missions is to honor and decorate the graves of Civil War veterans. And we had discovered maybe 25, 30 years ago that in the cemetery are 14 black men who served with the U.S. colored troops during the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
So we started approaching the owner, and finally around 2017, he gave permission to go in and clear off some of the brush to see if we could discover graves.
Yeah.
And we did not. We found some recesses in the ground which would indicate there'd be graves there. And we did manage to persuade the township to open a dialogue with the owner and his attorneys. And I don't know all the details of the communications between the lawyers, but negotiations broke down. I believe the owner wanted some fantastic amount of money to sell the land to the township, and as you know, budgets are tight everywhere, and the ground essentially can't be built on because it's an ancient cemetery under the laws in Pennsylvania.
Right, its value is very low. I mean, what would he do?
The value is negligible because in order to build on that half acre, you have to identify and remove all the bodies to another cemetery, which might cost $500,000 for 140 burials. The owner has 8 acres adjacent to the property. We think someday he wishes to develop this other land with houses, and maybe we can work a deal somehow with throwing the cemetery in as part of the open space. But in the meantime, the township did give our group permission to fund and erect an historic marker, and it's on Little Shilo Road in Westtown Township. And we're going to have a ceremony on April 11th to dedicate that marker. There'll be some Civil War reenactors honoring the 14 black soldiers who were buried there. And we just hope in the future that things will work out, and eventually we'll get access to the property and be able to put up proper monuments and historical markers and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Tell me something as a segue to that. Has the owner been approached about, there's any type of donation, the feds you could do on some kind of value of the ground, and of course the value is minimal, but there may be different pricing that could be, or values that could be put on it as open space, and he could take tax credits on it, things like that. Is that?
Yeah, it's all that's all been explained to him and. Numerous letters. The county commissioners have written to him. North American Land Trust wrote to him and said they'd be happy to work on these kind of donation deals for tax credits. He's been approached, and we don't know why he's reluctant, but apparently he is.
And sometimes he may be holding that also for density purposes. Leaving that as open space or something like that as a section of the property. Who knows?
Yeah, the zoning there is for 1 acre. So if he has 8 acres, with open space, maybe he wants to build 5 or 6 homes or something like that. Right. So hopefully it'll all be worked out I hope. Eventually.
Let's talk about the Underground Railroad, which is huge in Chester County. A friend of mine had found a hidden room in the basement of her house that turned out to be part of the Underground Railroad, it looks like. And when I worked at the Eagle Tavern up in Eagle, at least I was told, there used to be a tunnel that actually went under what's Route 100 now to the other side. And the claim was that's where they held escaping slaves also that were traveling up through further to the north because Pennsylvania had slaves in it at one time. So what's the connection to the Underground Railroad and the abolitionist history with this area here?
Okay, I just want to kind of condense a lot of information in a short amount of time here.
Sure.
So Shilo, as being one of the earliest AME connection churches in the country, represents this enormous tradition of self-emancipation flowing from Reverend Richard Allen and Absalom Jones. The fact that it's 1 mile from the Westtown School and the close coordination between Quakers and the AME Church is nationally significant. Mm-hmm. The fact that Forsyth Farm, just down the road, which is also experiencing demolition by neglect by a private property owner, representing 200-plus years of history. We know that Isaac J. Winters, who was the church sexton at Shilo, lived and worked on that farm before he went and served in the Battle of the Crater and was wounded. He also had a pension issue after the Civil War. This was a proud black community of Shilo. Within this 4-mile radius, we've discovered several Underground Railroad stations. Wow. We also need to better understand its connection to Barnard Station, to Longwood Progressive Friends. This is an early example of abolition history, but most specifically, Shilo represents that beautiful, proud tradition of the African Methodist Episcopal Church, and that's why we are honored that this sacred space was in our community, and we must stand up for it. Bertha?
Can you repeat the question?
See, we went so long. Talk about the connection of the Underground Railroad and the abolitionist history right there.
Oh, I'm sorry. So Isaac J. Winters was the church sexton for some 68 years.
Right.
And he had the oral tradition of the family is that he ran a station. And it's been documented with photographic evidence of the basement and a hatch which leads to the bottom portion.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at his house across the street from Shilo. And also within a 2-mile radius at 20 Ellis Lane, the corner of Strasburg and Ellis Lane, was a home that was a station that was owned by Nathaniel Curry. Now, this is very important. In 1822, Nathaniel Curry takes ownership of this home, 37 acres of land. He is identified as mulatto on the census data, and he is the great-great-grandfather to Bayard Rustin, and he ran a station on the Underground Railroad. And there are several sites within this community. We believe the Forsyth Farm also was a station, and then there's also another story concerning Enoch Lewis at the Westtown School in 1803. Joseph Jackson Lewis, who was the son of Enoch Lewis, both father and son served in the Pennsylvania Abolitionist Society. Joseph Jackson Lewis wrote Lincoln's biography, which propelled him to the presidency. And then we also know that Thornbury AME Church and Cemetery, there were freedom seekers who died on Thornbury land. Mm-hmm. So that's a snapshot of the history.
Right. What's the actual address? Did we talk about that? Where exactly is it located? Like, for somebody to actually see that piece of property, that parcel.
Yeah. The address is 1004 Little Shilo Road. It's the corner of Shilo Road and Little Shilo Road. Mm-hmm. You would be going east towards... go east from Shilo Road, and both those roads are named for the church. It wasn't that the church was named for the road.
I often wondered how they got that
You're
name.
going down Little Shilo Road. If you're going east, you go past Shilo Road, and on the right side, you'll see the marker. It's been installed, but we haven't had the actual ceremony yet.
Okay. Do you know when that's going to be?
April 11th.
April 11th. What time?
Was 11 o'clock at St. Paul's Baptist Church in Westchester on Matlack Street.
So there's plenty of parking that people can come and attend that?
And everybody's welcome.
That's fantastic. Listen, unfortunately, I wish we had more time on this because this type of thing just fascinates me, and I'm sure it does a lot of people. I have to close out the show, but before I do that, details. How can people get a hold of you, get involved, help, volunteer, send money? How can they do it?
On Facebook, Friends of Shilo, AME Westtown, and also Forsyth Farm on Facebook.
Okay, those are the two ways to get a hold of you. Do you have is there a website or just Facebook?
Yeah, just Facebook.
Okay, fantastic. And by the way, how many members are there in your group? Is it a small little army, or is it just a few? What is it?
I think we have over 200. Is that right?
Ooh, that's substantial. That's amazing. Wow, that's fantastic. Membership dues? Just join, sign up, and be part of it.
Yeah, we're always looking for volunteers.
Oh, volunteerism is so difficult, but you know what? When you get a good one, you got something there. So, hey, listen, we're going to wrap up this part of the show. I really appreciate it. So, thank you to David Walter, Bertha Jackman, the historian, and Stephen Lyons for coming on today to talk about this critical part of Chester County history. Your efforts, they just amaze me to be able to do this. Thanks for preserving what's left of this facility and getting the word out to the people. I'd like to thank Eric, also my producer here today on All Politics Are Local. After a long week of working here at WCHE, how does Eric spend his weekends? I'm kidding. Nobody cares.
Oh, my God.
Eric and I are on the morning show together from 7 till 10 a.m. on Mondays and Wednesdays. Join us for news, weather, traffic reports, and talk about the local happenings and you when you call in. You don't want us calling you, trust me.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. Not at all.
That's right. There's even more to WCHE. There's lots of great shows, including mine. You get to learn all these things like you did today. The music selection's pretty cool. Turn in for Sports Talk or Hello Westchester. Let's talk about it. And Shai Gilmore is putting together a new sports show that looks like it might delve into the local sports and its players, something nobody in the area covers anymore.
Oh, yeah.
You also need to tell your friends about us. If you want to know what's going on around the county, hang out with us. WCHE, we are absolutely free. Other than a few commercials for sponsors to keep us on the air, we keep chugging on through, delivering entertainment content and tons of information. That's advertising from your local friends, the ones that provide goods, services, and jobs to the area. They are the very foundation of a local, healthy community and economy. So give us a listen, give those businesses a listen, and most importantly, give those sponsors your business. Hey, if you like my show, take the time to send a nice note to WCHE at WCHE1520.com. Some say my show gives them anxiety. Really? You know what that means?
Go on out and get some air, fatso.
And as always, my shout out to the general manager of the station, Donna Saul, the general manager here at WCHE. She's the one that keeps us all in line. She inspires me. She told me if I was the last person on earth, she would consider giving me a raise.
That's good, right?
Yeah, that's good. Be sure to like and follow the WCHE Facebook page where you can keep up on all that's happening around the town and the county. And you can see my updates and videos on both my Facebook page, which is WCHE All Politics Are Local with Barry D., and my YouTube channel, All Politics Are Local with Barry D. Today's intro and outro music is from Wasp called Blind in Texas from 1985. It is a song they are best known for. Never a hit in the United States, but it was big in Finland, by the way. Oh, and the little secret about Jack, he was a roadie for that band for several years. Final advice of the day.
Wait, what?
It's true, I swear to God. Life is like a poker game. If you're sitting at a table and you can't figure out who the most inexperienced player is, chances are it's you. Your best bet is to play safe, to mitigate your losses, and hopefully learn from your mistakes and the better players. I'm Barry D. for All Politics Are Local. Thanks for listening.